E. You got one. Nice. Alright. This is fun. After the first round, you're about to take another bite of your sandwich when a thought occurred to you. I wonder if anyone turned off the TV downstairs. The TV, it was a bit on earlier, but no one really was watching. Then everyone started leaving the living room. I know I didn't turn it off. It might still be on downstairs with no one there. Cove smiled crookedly at that.
Oh.
Poor show, playing with no one around to enjoy it. What was it? You squinted off in the middle distance, trying to recall the show's name. I feel like it was some kind of crime-solving drama? Cove nodded sleepily, his eyes closed, then opened again with some effort. Can you give any specifics? Maybe I can guess it. Well... You rested your chin on your open palm, groggily thinking as hard as you could. I remember there was a woman with long blonde hair, I think. She was the one solving crimes, like as a detective or something. There were scenes in the police station, because someone got arrested. You lapsed into silence, the both of you thoughtful. Then Cove chuckled. It wasn't that funny, but you joined in the laughter anyway.
I don't know.
I don't know what that is. Me neither, and I just saw it. Enter one letter of the alphabet. H. No, sorry, I'm gonna start adding the little person. Oh, man. Another round came and went, and Cove grumbled as he adjusted himself. His features were twisted in a grimace. I feel so sticky. I'm gonna be stuck on this floor forever now. I'll have to charge your rent then. You can be my new roomie if you want. Looks like we'll both be stuck here forever then. I'm sticky too. No way, I'll pull you off if I have to. Eustace smiled at his whining. You can be my new roomie if you want. He smiled slightly at your joking suggestion. That wouldn't be so bad. You couldn't help but smile too. Now that you thought about it, being roommates with Cove would be fun. Then you return to the game. Enter one letter of the alphabet. So... I thought the middle word was the. But apparently not. I could go the RSTLNE route. Well, what else could the middle word be? One? Could it be one? I could buy another vowel. A. Ah, good guess. So that maybe the middle word is R. Cove spoke up once more, matching your attention. He was peering down at the piece of paper between you, his expression thoughtful. You know, Hangman is kind of a creepy... That was just what I was saying! Hangman is a kind of a creepy game. Why did people come up with it? Why did they play it? Maybe it's what they had instead of real court trials back then. I've always wondered about that. I'll have to look it up later. It's a really old game. No one's sure where it came from. I've always wondered about that. The two of you felt silent as you tried to puzzle out a logical answer. I mean, you could always Google for it, Wikipedia. Eventually, you just decided to return to the game. Enter one letter of the alphabet. R. Okay. You are cute. You are cute. Yep, that's right. By this point, Cove had finished his sandwich. Yours was almost gone too, but now you're getting thirsty. You brought it up to your neighbor. Should we go downstairs to get some drinks? I was thinking that too, but I don't really want to get up. Me neither. You looked over at him, narrowing your eyes with false suspicion. But hey, what happened to you not being able to get up ever again because you were stuck to the floor? That's still true. I mean, we're not actually going, are we? I only thought about it. You rolled your eyes and dropped the issue, defeated. Cove grinned a little at your disappointment over his victory. Enter one letter of the alphabet. Okay, so if I think the phrase is you are cute, then I want to use a U as another vowel, because U also is in Y-O-U, and that might be able to help verify whether or not I actually figured out the right phrase. U. Here we go. You are cute. That's another one. Enter one letter of the alphabet. O. There we go. You're really close. Enter one level of the alphabet. Y. Yeah. Enter one letter of the alphabet. T. You're definitely gonna get it. C. You are cute. That was the phrase that Cove had spent so long settling on. You stared at it. A few correct letters in, you had a feeling you knew what the phrase was. Still, you felt butterflies in your stomach at seeing it, clear as day on the paper. And I only had one miss letter, just one. You took in the words for a moment longer, then you looked up at Cove. He had trouble meeting your shocked gaze, a smile settling awkwardly on his lips. His next words left him in a mumble. It was all I could think of at the time. You covered your face bashfully. You gave him a playful shove, still in disbelief. You stayed where you were, unable to move. You fell backwards on the floor from your seating position. You wrapped your hands around him. Oh, I wouldn't know if I would cover my face bashfully. But I think I wouldn't do this either. Fall backwards? No, because it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise that he thinks I'm cute. You stayed where you are, unable to move. You gave him a playful shove, still in disbelief. I'm gonna just say I covered my face bashfully. Suddenly you had trouble meeting his eyes too. Your hands came up to hide your flushed features from his sight. You didn't say anything. No, you're cute. Thank you. I can't believe you. Cove, you just let a small squeak. No, you're cute. Cove smiled a bit more, clearly still feeling awkward about the move he pulled. He turned away from you, his cheeks tinted pink. A moment passed between the two of you. Now would be the perfect time to change the subject, but you didn't. He didn't either. Things started feeling a bit more personal all of a sudden. You looked into Cove's ocean eyes and saw yourself staring back. I really think you're cute, seriously. Did you mean it? Do you really think I'm cute? You didn't say anything. I really think you're cute, seriously. Cove's features softened at your words, but he remained serious. Thanks. I meant it too. Finally, he broke the eye contact. I heard at some point you're supposed to start liking types of people. Guys or girls or whoever.
I don't know.
I haven't really noticed that yet. Nothing's changed, not in a big way. Not for everybody. Maybe I have to grow up more, but at least with... You waited, but he trailed off. He wasn't going to keep talking. You frowned, a little disappointed. You wished that he had continued with what he was saying. You shook off the strangeness of the situation and tried to be supportive. Maybe you just don't like anybody. Or maybe you like all types of people. That's normal too. Cove seemed to appreciate that thought, if the smile that appeared on his lips was an indication. But the expression was quick to disappear. He peered over at you, looking nervous. Okay, what about you? What kind of guy or person do you like? He winced and seemed to be mentally kicking himself for saying it like that. You considered his question carefully. Did you know who or what you liked? You were starting to have physical attraction in a general way. You only seemed to feel physical attraction in specific cases and situations. You didn't really have a physical interest in other people. You didn't think you could tell if you had interest in people physically. There was only one person you'd ever have those kind of feelings for. No, I would probably say I'm starting to have physical attraction in a general way. I'm pretty simplistic like that. You were starting to have romantic you only seem to feel... You were starting to have romantic attraction in a general way. You were starting to have a romantic attraction in a general way. You only seem to feel romantic attraction in specific cases, situations. You didn't think you could tell if you have interest in people romantically. There's only one person you ever have romantic feelings for. Now I'm gonna have romantic attraction in a general way. I'm very basic when it comes to that. But specifically when it came to how you felt towards boys, you found them attractive. You thought you'd be happy with a guy someday. You found it attractive, but you hadn't thought about being with a guy. You weren't physically interested, but you'd be happy to have a romantic relationship with a guy. You generally were interested in guys, but there were special exceptions. Interesting. You found them attractive. You thought you'd be happy to be with a guy someday. And how you felt towards girls. You found them attractive? No. You found them attractive? No. You weren't physically interested, but you'd be happy to have a romance? No. You weren't interested in girls. You generally weren't interested in girls, but there were special... No, I'm not really interested in girls just in that way. For people who aren't exclusively male or female, you found them attractive, you thought you'd be happy to be with someone non-binary someday. You found them attractive, but you hadn't thought about being with someone non-binary. You weren't physically interested, but you'd be happy to have a romantic... You generally weren't interested in someone who's non-binary. So here's the thing. I think back at that age, I didn't really know what non-binary was, or I don't know if I necessarily even knew who, like, besides, I had barely, like, understood that gay and lesbians existed. You know, once you start talking about non-binary or gender fluid or, you know, trans, that was, like, beyond, like, way, way, way beyond, like, my awareness. So it's hard for me to answer this question because at that age I didn't even know that existed, so I couldn't really have an opinion on it. Nowadays, for a while, once I realized that they existed, I'm very physically attractive to the male form. I'm very physically attracted to the male form and quote unquote masculine, like ways of carrying yourself, personality, you know what I'm talking about? So if we want to talk about what is and isn't a masculine trait, because I know that that's up for debate, but in the traditional sense, you know, that's the kind of things that I'm attracted to. So if, in order for me to be attracted to you as a trans person, then at least for the longest time, for me to be attracted to you, you need to be able to be very convincing as a masculine man, pretty much. And that's just the way that I've been wired. Recently, however, and by recently I mean within the last year, as I've gotten to know more trans people, I have become very legitimately attracted to trans or possibly non-binary people. I guess I'm not really sure if I haven't really met a non-binary person that I've been attracted to yet. Is it possible that I could? Sure, absolutely. I'm sure there is probably like non-binary people that I would be attracted to physically and romantically. I just am not aware of them yet. So I think I'm going to say at the time I wasn't interested in someone non-binary. This is back then. Now it's more like you generally were interested in someone who's non-binary, but there were special exceptions. So I'm going to say this just because it's accurate at this age. You weren't interested in someone non-binary. You returned your attention to Cove. He was waiting patiently for your response. You explained how you felt to Cove. I'd rather not talk about it. No, you explained how you felt to Cove. He listened intently, taking in every word as you tried to convey how you felt. He definitely perked up a bit when you mentioned having some interest in romantic relationships. Then he scratched the back of his head, sheepish. I'm not really sure how we ended up talking about all this when we started out playing Hangman. Just playing Hangman. But it was good, I think. I think so too. You shrugged. It was awkward. The conversation had a mind of its own. He just nodded quickly. I think so too. Cove chuckled a little bashfully. He glanced around, clearly scrambling for something else to say. So, have you seen any movies recently? We went from that to movies. Yeah, actually, I'm very glad you brought it up. The conversation took a lighter turn after that, and it felt like you got closer that afternoon. Finally, the blazing sun began to set. To your relief, the air cooled down a bit as a result. You pulled yourself off the floor, as did Cove, with some minor complaint. You both stretched your arms, groaning, and yawned into your hands. You glanced out your window, briefly taking in the soft red pinks and purples of the late afternoon sky. Somehow, you made it through the scorching hot day in one piece. Cove turned towards you, motioning towards your window with his chin. Want to go outside? It might be better out there than it is here now. Sounds good. I could really use some fresh air. The two of you took your time heading downstairs. You stopped briefly to grab a drink of water, then continued on your way. You stepped outside one after the other, your destination being the familiar hills behind your house. This time of day, it was quiet outside. The flowers blew gently in the wind, petals trembling but stubbornly hanging in there. You felt the breeze cool your heated skin, and you relaxed your shoulders. Cove closed his eyes, releasing a deep breath. I really love it out here. I do too. You do? That's surprising, you said jokingly. Your opinion sure has changed since you were first on this hill. You quietly enjoyed the moment. See, I think the thing is, like, I was pretty neutral about being outdoors at this age, and this is because during this age I was my go-to pastime or hobby was playing video games. So I wasn't the kind of person who by default would just go outside and play. Probably should have, but I would have much preferred staying indoors to play video games or watch TV. That was like my go-to. So but I still appreciated the outdoors. It just wasn't my like default. So I'm gonna say you quietly enjoyed the moment. Cove smiled. It was clear that he was enjoying it too. A beat passed, but his gaze didn't stray from your own. His voice was impossibly soft when he spoke up again. I'm glad I met you, Vaughn. You're really important to me, you know? You blushed at the statement. I feel the same. That's so nice of you to say. Oh, you. That's nice of you to say. You smiled silently. You're being too sweet. You're special to me, Cove. This would have been hard for me to say back to him at that age. So I'll say, you're being too sweet. You smiled silently. That's nice of you. I'll say I feel the same. Your voice came out equally delicate. From the way his features brightened, you knew from the way his features brightened, though, you knew he heard you. Then Cove reached over and held your hand without another word. Aww. Even as the sun disappeared completely and the sky darkened, you and Cove remained side by side for as long as you possibly could. Oh, that was sweet. I liked that the questions of that one because, you know, you were able to define who you were attracted to, who you were romantically attracted to, etc., etc. That was really cool. And the mechanics of playing Hangman was also really neat as well. I like that. That was a fun one. Looks like we have one last moment, which is Wave. The family shopping trip had lasted most of the morning, and you still had to unload everything from the trunk before you could go enjoy the afternoon. You cradled another bag in your arms as you headed towards your house. It was one of the heavier bags from the grocery store, loaded with fresh apples, ripe tomatoes, a bunch of carrots, and even half a watermelon. Ma came out the front door and paused just ahead of you.
It's no trouble.
Need any help with that, Vaughn? I can bring it the rest of the way if you want me to. Yes, please, it would be helpful. Yes, please, it was just too heavy. No, I've got it. You were doing fine. No, I've got it. You could just manage to hold it. You eagerly agreed with a nod of your head. You need someone else to take it. You didn't say anything. You could finish the job yourself at no problem. I'll say yes, please. It was just too heavy. Ma stepped forward to take the bag from your arms, and you headed back to the car to grab a new one. This time, you got a smaller bag with a loaf of fresh bread and a couple of packets of dried pasta spirals. I wasn't the strongest kid. I was pretty scrawny, all things considered. You passed Ma again on your way back to the house, and she gave you an encouraging grin and rustled her fingers through your black hair. You set the next bag on the counter. Your older sister began to root around inside for the contents with a sigh. How much is left? Still a few more bags. With a huff and a puff, Elizabeth continued putting away the groceries, and you retreated out of the kitchen before you could become the target of her bad mood.
Be careful.
Careful, Vaughn. You hadn't been looking where you were going and bumped right into Mom, almost stepping on her toes to boot. Sorry. I can give you a pass this time, but be sure to watch where you're going. If you run into the wrong person, you might get your license revoked. She grinned at the bad jokes as you continued to the door. Outside, Ma had started organizing what remained and putting back any loose objects that had fallen out during the trip. When you stepped up to the trunk beside her, she took a big breath of air, her dress gently swaying around in the breeze.
It's a shame.
It's a shame we had to spend the morning cooped up in that shopping center. It's a beautiful day, don't you think? You tilted your head to the sky, gazing at the clear blue expanse. Days like today are my favorite. It's too hot. I wish it was raining. I like it when it's stormy at the best. I mean, again, I was not a huge outdoors person, so it probably would have been like, it's too hot. You wrinkled your nose, feeling the beads of sweat gathering on your forehead from lifting stuff around in the sun. If there were a cloud or two around to lessen the heat, you would be enjoying the weather a lot more. With a small sigh, you turn back to help Ma with the last of the bags. Oh, hi, Cove. You notice Mom wave over at Cove, who just exited his front door, his surfboard propped up under one arm. Let me see, surfboard and wetsuit. Where might you be off to on this beautiful day? Cove instantly startled, not having realized your family was also out here. Even though your mom was the one who called out, you were the one he looked at. He tried to settle down again. He jogged across the pavement to properly say hello to you and your parents. It was decidedly awkward since Cove had trouble figuring out how close to stand to you. The addition of his unwieldy surfboard made the whole thing seem even clumsier. Careful with that thing, you'll put someone's eye out. Mom chuckled as she got a whispered reproach from Ma for it. Pam, please, go easy on him. Cove winced. Sorry, Mrs. Angel. Don't mind her, honey. It's a beautiful day for surfing. I haven't been out on the waves in a long time. I'm jealous. Yeah, I'm hoping to get a few good waves before it gets dark. Hi, Cove. He had relaxed a lot when Ma spoke to him, but the rigidity came back as soon as you said something.
Hey.
Hi, Vaughn. Cove managed to grin, and it almost felt like you had butterflies in your stomach. Butterflies. Do you want to come hang out there later? You noticed the flush of red on his cheeks, but that might have just been from the heat. Sure, I'll meet you there when we're done. Oh, yeah, I could do that. Alright, I can't this time. Sure, I'll meet you there when we're done. Cool. When he spoke again, he tried to contain some of the excitement that was clearly ready to burst. It'll be fun. You're not done unloading, right? Can I help? No, this is our job. You go enjoy the beach. Vaughn can catch up as soon as he is finished here. Alright, I'll see you. Yeah, bye for now. Cove headed down on the beach with more skip in his step than normal. It was really cute. You smiled softly to yourself at the thought that you'd be joining him soon. He sure seemed to perk up after you agreed to meet him there. I wonder why that could be. Ma, now who's giving him a hard time, Lonnie? Shush, it's different. Mom's face broke into an incredulous grin. In what way? I'm being supportive, and he can't hear it. Mom full-on laughed at that time.
Lonnie.
You're the worst of us when it comes to this, honestly. I keep trying to warn people, and they won't listen. I only want to help. I think it's fair to say he might need it. Meddler, but you have a point. Right? You narrowed your eyes at their teasing, and they simply chuckled conspiratorially before taking more bags from the trunk and heading inside. Once everything had finally been taken in and put away, you got yourself ready to meet Cove at the beach. You had a surfboard in your room that you wanted to take with you. I do not do water. I would not be surfing. I would not have a surfboard. Your family had a surfboard around here somewhere. You weren't sure what you were going to do. He was surfing and you didn't know how. Yeah, definitely. You said the same thing to your parents, and while Ma laughed a little, Mom gave you a smile.
Well,
You'll just have to go there and see what happens. Cove must have been so excited to invite you there that he forgot you don't surf. He also forgot I don't swim. Or he's hoping you'll go watch him so he can show off. I'm fine with just watching. He can go and do all his surfing. I'll just stay back and admire from afar. Oh yes, I used to do that. I know, hun. I experienced Vaughn's situation firsthand. I was stuck on the shore too. You noticed what I was doing. Yes, after the very first time. It's not a subtle move. How embarrassing. I was still impressed.
Aww.
Oh, thank you. Wow, Ma.
Hey.
Hey, what are you still doing here? Go on, have your fun. You're only young once, but don't do anything I wouldn't have. You've got the young ones, and then you have the young once. Young ones, and young once. Okay. At your parents' prodding, you hurried to leave the house and head down to the beach. When you arrived at the shore, you were greeted by the crash of waves and the soft calls of seagulls. You took in a lungful of the ocean air and felt your tan skin warm in the sun. You noticed a small setup nearby with a towel, some sunscreen, and a bottle of water. It must be Cove's. You spotted Cove himself nearby. He hadn't gone out to sea yet. He was just sitting in the sand at the water's edge, his board propped up beside him. You strolled up beside him. Hey, I'm here. Vaughn. He looked up at you with a smile and quickly hopped to his feet. I was wondering if you were still coming. I wouldn't have missed it. Sorry you had to wait. And stay inside all day? I don't think so. Sorry you had to wait. You don't have to say that. It's okay. Then he casts his eyes out towards the waves. What am I supposed to do while you surf? I'll stay here and watch you surf. I'm gonna find something to do while you surf. I'll just stay here and watch you surf. Oh. You were ready to spread out your towel and take it easy.
Don't worry about it.
I don't have to go out. I'll stay with you on shore. No! No! You were looking forward to surfing. Don't not do something on account of me. If it's something you really enjoy doing, I can entertain myself. Or if you want, you could use one of my other boards. I could teach you. Maybe if you taught me to swim first, I would say yes. You would rather just watch Cove surf. You accepted the offer to hang out on the beach. You wanted to try surfing. I would not want to try surfing. No. I'd rather just watch. At that age, I'd rather just watch Cove surf. Especially because I can't swim. It's alright, you go ahead on your own. It'll be fun to see what you can do. Cove gave you a smile, but you could tell the pressure was on. He stood up straighter and with the new expectations for his performance. I can do that, if you're sure. Yep. Then okay, wave to me if you get bored or something. You set up your towel on the beach, making yourself a comfortable viewing setup. If only you had brought popcorn. Cove looked strangely stiff in the water, and he kept glancing back at you. You shot him a thumbs up, and he raised an eyebrow. The story your parents mentioned about the romance came back to mind, and it made you blush. Maybe he did have the same thoughts in his head. But with every wave, he seemed to relax more and more. Either he was growing less self-conscious or more used to your eyes. You continued to watch quietly. You started cheering him on after a really cool wave. You shouted him to remember to pace himself. You did an impression of a sports announcer. You made a silly face when he looked back at you. It's between these two. I can be such a, don't remember to pace yourself, blah blah. But I'm not an expert at surfing, so what would I know? I feel like I don't know how to surf, so why would I be telling him about, remembering to pace himself? I'll cheer him on after a really cool wave. After you cheered once, you couldn't stop. Cove kept doing impressive stuff. Every wave, you'd clap for him. If his surfing took your breath away, you'd jump on your feet. Cove checked in with you after some more time had passed. Bored yet? I found ways to entertain myself. It's been fun. I'm just a little bored. This was totally radical, dude. I couldn't take my eyes off you. I'll say, I found ways to entertain myself. Yeah, I guess you did. You didn't look entirely convinced just watching him was worth your time, but you meant it. How about you? Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always do. I like that you're here, though. He awkwardly broke eye contact after the admittance. You teased him. You smiled. You looked away. I'm just gonna smile. It felt nice to hear that. You were glad he appreciated your presence, even if you weren't surfing like he was. Cove planted his surfboard in the sand and sat down beside you. He looked towards the ocean and squinted at it in thought. You watched him, somewhat confused. He was thinking something, but you didn't know what, which was unusual when it came to Cove. He muttered something to himself. Cove?
It's nice.
Oh, I was just checking out the view. You have a nice spot. Thanks. With that, Cove went back to surfing, and you continued to watch him. He tended to stay in your direct field of vision from that point. Now you got it. He may not have been the perfect surfer, but you could see how passionate he was about it. That's a nice way to put it. He's not the perfect surfer, but this kid's at least got passion. I feel like he's a little bit better at surfing than how that sentence sounded. All in all, the Cove surfing channel was better than cable. The setting sun was visible on the horizon. Every time you would look away, it had sunk a little lower. The beach was darkening, but still pleasantly warm. Cove pointed out the sunset. There was something particularly striking about it that day. When you glanced over at Cove, you saw a lazy smile on his face. Hey, what are you thinking about? Nothing exactly. It's just been nice. You picked up a shell and fidgeted with it. The inner part was smooth to the touch. I get that. You chatted a little more until the conversation truly died out, and all you heard was the rhythmic sound of waves. Then Cove sighed.